Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Blackout. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, folks, I am in airplane mode, and I am joined by the biggest, the baddest, the meanest, the blackest, the most violently anti-theist motherfucker I could find, the man who is single-handedly trying to destroy Christian apologetics, the 19th degree black belt murder nerd himself. Give it up for Robert motherfucking Reed.
Now you're talking. Now you're fucking talking. Fuck Christian apologetics and all their fucking followers. God, and I still can't stand that shit. I still can't stand it.
Oh man! All right, so we got a good one lined up for the crew today. But before we jump into it, let me ask you a question that I'm sure people out there want to hear.
Hit it.
Tell us the story of Pizza Sleeps Fast Under the West, Therefore the Mudge.
Pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the Mudge is a common quip from Christian apologetics, presuppositional apologetics. Some fucker named, I think, Dennis Seeger, an understudy, I guess, of Cy Tim Bruggencate. And they pull that fucked up ass line when, again, I just don't believe you. There's a God. I don't believe you haven't presented. Pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the Mudge. And when you sit and you look visibly confused, why a grown-ass person sounds like they're drunk, it's because their comeback is, oh, did that not make any sense? Am I obligated to be logical in this conversation? If there is no God, why am I obligated to be logical? And it's like, this is the dumbest argument ever. Because again, you're all these little word games, they don't account for the 5 minutes after. You're right. You don't have to be logical. Just like I don't have to sit here and waste my fucking time listening to you talk gibberish. That's where that comes from.
So that's an example of something they actually said in English words?
Oh, yeah. Out of their mouth, and we all can hear it. It's a common comeback. The moment you press them up against the wall that you have not provided any evidence for their God claims, they'll bust out, pizza sleeps fast under the West, therefore the Mudge. If there is no God, why should I be obligated to make sense to you? It's right next door to, if there is no God, what's wrong with the Holocaust?
Oh my goodness.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid. That's where that stupid, look at Buddy's monkey ass. That's where that line comes from. Dude, you're not going to calm down, are you? Okay.
That is one. It makes me laugh every time, and I'm glad people got to hear that story. Also, to quickly tell the folks where you got Buddy.
Buddy, this little guy, I found him. I went to a magic show, and I hate magic shows, but I love my friend more than I hate magic shows. And she's like, it's for her daughter. It's for her daughter. I was like, fine, fuck it, I'll go. I went, came home around 11:30, maybe even close to midnight. And this little guy was not 20 meters from into my driveway. So I got out of my car, got up behind him, see if he was okay. And like any other dog, you expect him to hear you walk up behind him and haul ass. He didn't move.
Wow.
I was literally 6 inches from him, and he didn't move. There he goes. And at that point, I realized he was deaf. Then when I got him in the house, he was in really bad shape, and he was getting ready to take his last breath. Then I saw his eyes, and I realized he can't see me.
Wow.
And just kind of trying to talk to him to calm him down. Then I realized he can't hear me.
Right.
And then, he was able to maybe get just a couple of to drink some water, but he didn't have the strength to drink water. That's when I looked in his mouth and realized the fucker doesn't even have any teeth. So I stayed up with him all night, nursed him back to health, and long story short, here we are 2 years later. That's where I found Buddy. So
That's an
yeah,
amazing story. That's an
thank
amazing story. And now he's like the mascot of Gin and Truth on YouTube, and
you.
he's got his own fan club.
Yep,
He went
yep.
from falling off to famous. Now, now he's one of the dogs of YouTube.
He is. He's and his name came from all night long. I kept trying to feed him bread. He didn't want the bread, but I just was like, "Come on, buddy, just just one more hour. Just come on, buddy." And it just kind of stuck. And yeah, now he's the people's Q-tip.
Yeah,
He belongs to all of us.
Q-tip.
He is our dog. He is our dog. So yeah, that's where Buddy comes from. And
That's awesome.
His brothers love him.
Lena said, "Is he doing okay? He's doing all right." That's awesome.
Buddy, yeah. He's got a little coughy cough, but he's all right.
Nice.
He has survived worse.
Yeah, Sam's over here eating his breakfast. All right, so we are going to get into today's topic, which is Mike Winger is still defending hell. And apparently he's going to be responding to some objections to hell. And we've got plenty of objections to hell.
Yeah, it's an immoral concept. I don't care what anyone says. And fuck all the apology. Well, Robert, we've all done bad. We all deserve help. I've got self-esteem. No, I don't deserve to be tortured forever. But at the end of the day, the Christian God created a certain number of people whose ultimate destination is a torture pit. He knows in advance who's going to go because it's going down to his unchanging plan. God doesn't send you to hell because he has to. He's sending you there because he wants to. He wants a certain number of people to be tortured forever. And go fuck yourself. That is immoral. And there's no argument you can put forth that's going to make me change my mind. Because I've heard them all. And they're all sitting on some bullshit.
Yeah. And it's also, it's a threat. And as much as Christians would love to say, oh, God is love, I love God. I mean, you do not love someone if you worship them because the threat of eternal torture is hanging over you. Furthermore, they do not love you if that possibility is on the table.
Exactly. And love does not hurt, period, in the story. And they're lying. I know for a fact they're lying. If someone with a fraction of the Christian God's social resume and character traits lived next door to your average everyday Christian, they'd call 911 within half a second.
Absolutely.
The only reason why this comes out of their mouth is because their God isn't real. But it's very unpopular to sit up there and say, I disagree with something that the Christian God put forth. And so that's why the Christian God sent forth Tim Bruggencate to say, if there is no God, what's wrong with your mom being tortured forever? That's why he sends Mike Winger to say, well, we all deserve punishment. Isn't it grand that a father had to murder his son? There's nothing about this proposition that's okay. Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah, and I actually also feel that hell touches on all four of the table legs of battered spouse syndrome.
No question. No
question. The irrational belief that the abuse is your fault. I deserve to go to hell. Everybody deserves to go to hell. I'm a sin. I deserve to go to hell. The irrational belief that if they don't get to you, they'll get to your friends or family. You're afraid of your friends and family going to hell. You're always telling them, I'm worried about your soul. What's going to happen to you after you die? The irrational belief that your abuser is omnipresent. Literally, you believe God can see everything you've ever done and even your thoughts, and that he can send you to hell for everything you've ever done anywhere, including your thoughts. Exactly. And the irrational belief that your abuse is your fault. So it's just crazy.
And a Christian
It's the fourth one is the irrational belief that you find your purpose in your self-worth in your believer. And if you don't believe you have your self-worth in God, boom, that's a one-way ticket to the fiery lake. So it's really crazy. I wish more Christians got to hear that explanation and really think about it. Maybe that's what we should start telling him. It's not that I don't think you're in a relationship with God. It's just that you're in an abusive relationship with God.
The thing, it's Christianity 101. They'll repeat exactly what you just said, word for word, and then just turn around and tell you that you were wrong. There's nothing that you said was the least bit wrong. The relationship with the Christian God is no different than a relationship with Ike Turner. It's my fault. And that's exactly what Christianity preaches. It's your fault. It's your fault that your dad fucked your mom. Now look what I have to do to your monkey ass. Yeah, you can't even jerk off in a vault at Fort Knox. God just saw what you did. You can't escape this fucker. Right? Yeah. Okay, fine. Robert, you're a Christian, but you'll never guess what? Your best friend Simon, I'm gonna fuck his ass up too. Right? You may have come to the flock, but I'll get the ones that you care about. Right? And again, the I am second t-shirt. I just sat here this and saw. Again, Christians, your persecution is fucking non-existent. In the middle of an NFL football game, there is an advertisement for Jesus. Right? Our identity is wrapped in Jesus. I am second. Jesus is us. Jesus.
Really? Oh,
no,
gross.
They've got it's a whole new line
gross.
of advertisements smack dab in the middle of the NFL football season.
It's like he gets us. It's like the midseason he gets his campaign, and we'll go back, and there'll be a special one for the Super Bowl, I'm sure.
Oh, they had one in last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, and how many people watching the NFL literally were just sitting in church not 3 hours ago, just trying to get through the damn sermon so they could get home and watch some football. And it's like, boom, here it is. Boom. Like more like you can't escape it.
You can't. And this is why I always laugh at the claims of look how persecuted we are. You've got a national fucking campaign. You're not persecuted. And even when you sit down, you try to get a little drinky drink, try to get some nachos and some wings, watch your football, like you said, and you're still in church service. Jesus, he gets us. It's like, come on, guys. I mean, seriously. I just want to watch some 21-year-olds beat the dog shit out of each other because that's what I like. Right. I don't want your fucking church service. Again, and the fucked up thing is the exact same people who sat there and boycotted the NFL or say they did, like, you know what? Keep your social message out of my sports. I just wanted to, I don't care that you niggers are getting shot. Just keep that out of my football. And then we get a church service. Please notice no one is talking about boycotting the NFL because we have to watch Jesus ads. When black people say, you know what? Do us a great favor. Don't murder us. I know people that got mad in a motherfucker when the NFL kind of compromised and just, okay, maybe not endorse the kneeling thing, but we're going to put end racism in the back of NFL end zones. I know people who got mad as shit over two words, end racism.
Wow.
Like, why are you telling a black guy that you're pissed off about this? But I promise you those exact same people, not a peep with the Jesus commercials.
And not again, most of them defend and are voting for, or a good number of them are voting for Donald Trump, who literally has to be told, you can't threaten the judge. Don't threaten the prosecutor's lives because you see, people are showing up to their house, threatening their ex-husbands and their grandmothers. Yeah, you don't do that. And they're like, this is against my freedom of speech. And then my man Colin Kaepernick just took a knee. He just like, I don't want to stand. I want to express myself by taking a knee. I think that's the way. No, all of us, freedom of expression, no, out the window. So yeah, this is a crazy topic, and it's sad because we're sitting here talking about Mike Winger, and this fool has 630,000 subscribers.
I can't stand his monkey ass. Oh God, this one's gonna be painful, isn't it?
And we had to realize, like. So I'm looking up Derek real quick. Shout outs to my main man at Mythvision podcast.
Mythvision.
He is considered like, pretty much as big as it gets for us, right? Like, there's not many other channels. He has 161,000 subscribers, right? So he's growing, but he's small potatoes compared to Mike Winger. I mean, these apologists are crazy. A lot of them are in the millions of subscribers. So the scales that we're operating at is unfortunate, because it means the counter message is not being spread as widely as the message. People are hooked to this. People want to believe this. People are into this. They think Mike Winger's great. They think this is the way to go. So let's go ahead and tear this fool down.
All right, let's do it. Let's roll this fucked up.
All right, so we got it. But yeah, that's me. I just messed up the whole pro. All right, gang. First off, we got an Autobots transform. Then we got to roll out. Then we got to head over to the blow up situation station.
There you go.
Boom. All right, and now we can roll the tape.
Roll the tape.
Why does God give infinite punishment for finite crimes? Even from a biblical point of view, not every crime is prescribed the same punishment. So why then can a person never serve the entirety of their punishment in hell? So yeah, why what's up with the issue of hell and the justness or the consistency of the topic of hell? So what I have here are 8 facts about hell, or 8 things I'm going to say about hell. The first one is going to be this: not everyone gets the same punishment. Let me actually take you guys to a passage in scripture that helps us see.
He can fuck himself already. And I've heard this before. It doesn't matter. Again, this is how you soften it up. He only hit her with an open hand. Hello, closed fist hate. This is just discipline. At the end of it, and again, stop it. Stop it. There is one way to get to hell, and that is don't jerk God off. So again, there are different levels of torture. You're still being tortured. Right. And y'all give me a little bit of latitude, because I said this in a previous video. And because I've heard stories like this, and I've dealt with stories like this, that the rape wasn't as bad because at least he used a condom.
Right.
I need everyone to please go fuck themselves, because everything after the word rape is absolutely irrelevant. Whether he raw dogged it, whether you played Luther Vandross, it doesn't matter. It's still a rape. So when we sit here and we say, well, there's different levels of hell, you understand that not everyone's going to get fucked all the way up just as bad. It doesn't matter. The murderer who accepts Jesus goes to heaven. The murder victim who was a Hindu goes to hell. And it doesn't matter what level of hell they go to, they still go to hell. So go ahead, Christians, please tell us how it is this is a fair system.
Exactly. And for me, it's like going to court for a crime you didn't commit, or a crime that shouldn't be against the law, and then you say, well, I know the judge put that other your conspirator there away for life, but they only gave you 10 years. But if I didn't commit a crime, there is no punishment that I will accept as just because somebody else got hit with something worse. Yep. And then again, who are the most extreme levels of hell reserved for? Because I guarantee you, the enemies of God, he might even tell us during his own thing, the enemies of God, basically people like us, we get the worst level. We get the worst level. The worst level goes to the heathens, the God haters, and the queens. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm gonna just put it out there. That's just what it is. Because those are the sins that they just can't focus. Those are the worst things. Like you said, the murderer who accepts Jesus in his dying moments, they're good to go. But there is no way to forgive not believing in God and not jerking them all the way off.
Exactly.
All right, let's see what this fool got to say.
See this. Matthew 11:21. It says, woe to you. Jesus speaking here. He's traveled around. He's in person. This is the greatest revelation that God has ever given mankind. It's in the person of Christ. So Jesus says, woe to you, Chorazin. Woe to you, Bethsaida. For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. And then he says, but I say to you, it will be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon in the day of judgment than for you. Now, here's why this is super significant to me. It's a future thing, right? It's not talking about how tolerable Tyre and Sidon was, the judgment that they experienced before, but it's rather a future judgment. And there's a difference between the way they will experience those judgments. So in the future, Tyre and Sidon will experience future judgment, and it's going to be different in the punishment and experiences they have. Then Jesus adds the Sodom and Gomorrah aspect here in the next verses. And you, Capernaum, who are exalted to heaven, will be brought down to Hades. For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say to you, it shall be, future tense, more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for you. This to me implies, right? You could mean.
Is he stupid? This is just that traditional poetic, like Bible type language. It'll be worse for them than it was for you. They're like, I literally don't even think he's interpreting this right. I literally think he's just saying, I'm going to decide who's fucked up and who's not fucked up. And you're going to be surprised at why I decide certain people are fucked up. This is not God being like, I actually created 7 levels of hell. And the first level is just kind of dipping your toes in the water of torture. But the second level, you get thrown in head first. I mean, this is just, that's nowhere in the Bible. This is not what this is just one of those standard passages of this city is going to be worse than that city. And I don't like these sodomites over here. Yeah, this is just a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, total bullshit.
Also, I love the branding here. BibleThinker.org.
Oh, Jesus.
Christians just, they have to string a little bit of intellectual propaganda throughout everything they do to overcome the clear lack of critical thinking that they exercise. So everything is biblical truth, biblical thought, the intellectual side of Christianity, Bible thinker. It's
no such thing.
All of this is getting you not to think.
No, yeah. Again, it's How to Remain Faithful to Your Wife, forward by Donald J. Trump. You cannot put logical and talking snake in the same sentence. And again, one of their hallmarks is standing firm with the bullshit. You know, it's like, well, you don't think I don't think a donkey can talk. Well, why don't you? Everyone knows that if God exists, that a donkey can talk. What's your fucking problem? I'm like, okay, no matter how confidently you say 2 + 2 = applesauce, you're still wrong.
Right.
You are still fucking wrong. And yeah, it's just their way of, sounding intellectual. But I'm a total Bible thinker. I've read it 2 and 4th, and I know it's real. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't. The virgins don't get pregnant. And I don't care that you can philosophically defend the position. I want to see it. Oh, right. You can't? Then fuck you. Right? You're not intellectual and a Christian at the same time. Not all the way across the board. You're not.
And I don't buy Mike Winger. Like, I think he knows. I think there's no way you're in the business he's in the game this long with the amount of subs and then you got to remember he's like one of the apologists that's out there in the world, right? So he's out there doing speaking engagements and book tours and all of this type of stuff. He knows this. And he doesn't accept those claims on any other religion. He doesn't accept anybody else's version of Hades or the afterlife. He doesn't believe any of the other virgin birth narratives of a single deity in any other religion. He doesn't believe the resurrection claims of a single deity in any other religion. Nope. It's all just special pleading.
Because he and he alone has the right religion and the right brand of Christianity.
Yeah, it's like you said, we never meet the Christian that's like, I probably got this all the way fucked up. I'm probably terrible. I probably don't know what I'm talking about.
Yep, exactly. What you got, Mike?
Maybe you can interpret it a different way, but I think the implication here is that Sodom has a future day of judgment, and that when you compare, right, these cities to Sodom, Sodom will have it easier, which is to say, your observation about how every crime does not get the same punishment in the law of Moses, that's actually very true about the issue of final judgment. Everybody does not have the same final judgment experience in the future. So it's tailored to the person depending on the sins they committed. I'll give you more scripture on this. Luke chapter 12, verse 47. Jesus tells a parable talking about a future coming judgment. He says, and that servant who knew his...
This is the problem. Again, you guys notice that the Christian God can't make a fucking move without wrath and judgment and anger and revenge and fire and what? This is not loving. And again, there is no judgment to be had. This is a script. If Christianity is true, this is a script. God knew that at 39, I would no longer be a Christian. And there was absolutely, positively nothing that could have been done to stop that. There's no prayer. There's no Hail Marys. There's no nothing. Chances are, with the way the shit's going, I'm going to take my last breath as an atheist, which means I'm going to get fucked, and not in a sexy, vibrant way. There's no judgment. There's no judgment. Or if there is judgment, it's already been passed down. Pretty much everyone in this stream right now, we're fist fucked. We're toast. There's no judgment. It's a script. It's an unchanging script. So fuck all this, the different levels and the blahs and the glavinoids. God knows who's going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's commanded.
And also, there is no such thing as sin, and it's one of those things where they just go off, you know. All right, we're gonna go 8 miles down the road on this sin discussion, and you have not demonstrated that there is such a thing as sin. And it's like we really need to start explaining to them that I'll say. So you think there's a curse on the world, right? Because it makes it sound as childish as it really is. There really is no, like when you see somebody trying to be cute with their little crucifix necklace, cool, nice Roman torture device you got there. Really, really, man, you got your torture device in 14 karat gold. That's spiffy, you know? But the thing that gets me about what he's saying is, that's not how it goes. That is not how it goes. Again, you can do all the sinning you want to do. Yep. Go ahead, do some genociding. Hey, maybe even God commands you to do some genociding. And if you look with lust at your neighbor's spouse, you know, just get you that little before you go, just right before you die. God forgive me of my sin. Boop, and you're good to go. Yep. And you could have literally never hurt another person, you know, never stolen anything, never lied, never none of that, but don't believe in God. And you're going to go to one of the levels of hell. Maybe we don't know which one, but you're going to go to one. And one of them levels is your destination. And so, again, there's really this idea that God is just at the core of evangelical Christianity. And it's almost like they just haven't read the book.
They have. Some of them have. But they conveniently ignore facts. Because that's the only way you remain in this crap.
Yeah.
Again, if you've got a set of twins, this one killed the next door neighbor's cat. This one ate Oreos and you told them don't eat Oreos. Okay. They both kind of fucked up. But it's clear the one who's fucking killing animals is just a little bit fucking worse. Now you punish that kid, but you punish that kid accordingly, including maybe even giving your kid some psychological fucking help.
Right.
But one of the foundational pillars of punishment is a lesson has to be learned.
Right.
Right. It has to end. The punishment must fit the crime, and a lesson has to be learned. Otherwise, this is just pure feral hatred. It's just hate. Again, because level 7 is the worst level of hell, then there's level 1. This is for when you were pussyfooting. This is when whatever the hell the worst thing is. Either way, it does not stop. Level 1 and level 7 go on for an eternity. So please tell me how this is just.
And hell violates all of that too, because one, like you said, it doesn't end. Two, it doesn't fit the crime. It's not proportional to what people have actually done. And there's absolutely no way it can teach you a lesson because you're already dead and you're just permanently in this state of torture based on whatever you did wrong. So there, a lesson is like, okay, let's review the game take. We should have went left instead of going right.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have stolen this thing. You should have, waited till you had saved enough money. All right, now next time, let's see what you do next time, right? And then you get to try it again,
exactly,
right? But that doesn't apply with hell. So they act like it's God's way of instruction or teaching moral fortitude, but it's nothing. It's nothing of that.
Pure hate. Hold on. Keep rolling. Give me 2 seconds.
All right, take your time.
His master's will and did not prepare himself or do according to his will, this one who knew, he will be beaten with many stripes. Are they literal stripes? I don't think that's the point at all, actually. I think the point is his punishment will be more extreme. Then you have he who did not know, yet committed things deserving of stripes. Does he get off the hook? No, he's beaten, but with few. So that...
All right. Oh, okay. When you deal with Christians, y'all, you have to understand that I guess conversations can never bleed together, because these same apologists are the ones who are always trying to make excuses that the Bible doesn't really endorse slavery. God doesn't really want people to be owned by other people. But now when the topic is hell, it's like, well, let's go to this slavery passage here. Oh, and it says that the slave that really fucks up, he should be. And again, this is how, you see the 12 years a slave, right? You see that this passage, this, beaten with many stripes, sort of used as a threat to the slaves, right? To keep the slaves in line. And so it's amazing that apologists want to act like they don't endorse slavery. The Bible isn't racist. You shouldn't see the connection between the chattel slavery of the South and the biblical slavery in Judea. But as soon as they want to talk about hell and they want to talk about something else, now we could jump straight into that passage, and it definitely means what you think it is. We're definitely talking about slaves and servants. We're definitely talking about justifying beating them with many lashes. And so it's incredible. All right, Uncle Bobby, he jumped to the passage about many lashes versus few lashes. And I'm just saying, this is how hypocritical they are, because they always want to act like the Bible doesn't endorse slavery or it doesn't endorse shadow slavery. But when they think we're talking about something else, boom, let's jump to the slavery passage. Now look at what the Bible says about slaves.
And it's the ultimate example of don't believe your eyes. That we can sit here and read exactly what we just read and then told we didn't understand that. So yeah, it is going to be sitting on some bullshit. I found some workers that were willing to suffer on Sundays, and so they ran out of water. So here we go.
Are they good to go?
They're good. No one's going to die. No one's going to die.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
Are your sins specifically punished, but your knowledge is also dealt with. So it's like, well, they did that, but they didn't really fully understand how bad it was. Well, they will be punished according to their understanding. What about the person who did it and knew exactly how bad it was? They will be punished according to their understanding as well. Second issue, do people stop sinning in hell? Now, sometimes we assume that that's the case. Like, we've done all these sins in life. I die. If I've rejected Christ, then I'm going to stand and be punished for all my sins. And then I'm in hell and I'm there and I don't sin anymore. So 100 years later, 1,000,000 years later, like a week later, I have not sinned in that time. And so we think that what I'm experiencing now is just corresponding to what I've done in life.
Pause the tape.
And then
again, Christians, gang, do me a favor. Do me and Bundy a favor. Share this seriously, because a Christian needs to hear this.
Yeah, they do.
I've heard this bullshit before. There's okay. So again, it goes back to the diagnosable criteria for a battered spouse. Your oppressor is omnipresent, because you know what Christians now say? God is even in hell. God is not the devil. No. God is the one fucking you up while in heaven. And I've heard, okay, so you go to prison for assault and battery and you get 15 years. Well, while you're in prison, you beat up another prisoner. So now they have to add on 5 years. Well, after you beat up that prisoner, now you stole something from another prisoner. So now they're going to attack on 7 years. Well, after that, now you murdered another prisoner. And now you have to go to the hole. Well, when you went to the hole, you tried to assault one of the prison guards. And so and this is their analogy.
Right.
Christian, do you not understand how fucked up this is? That again, so you go to hell, and while God is fucking you over in the worst possible way, you're still saying, God, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Again, there's no lesson to be learned. There's no, hey, kid, I told you hell was real. Are you ready to accept me now? Okay, you are? Then come on and get some of this. I told you I was real. No, it's just, and again, this goes down according to God's unchanging plan. So God knows at year 1 million, you're going to tell him to go fuck himself. So it's like, oh, is that what you got for me? You just stepped up from level 1 hell to level 2 hell. A little extra gasoline up in this bitch. He knows at year 1 trillion, you're going to say, you know what, God, fuck you. He can't be the alpha and the omega. He can't have the unchanging, all this stuff, and we don't blame him for the bad shit.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is just bad, man.
The analogy was also great too, because you know most people think about the criminal justice system when they really look into it, that it doesn't work, that it's ineffective, that it takes people who are often guilty of petty or minor crimes, over criminalizes that behavior, especially with certain demographics, and then you end up in a much more violent criminal situation for a much longer period of time. You know, just based on the unfairness and the injustice committed to the person based in the name of the justice system. And this is the same thing in hell. Also, so God's a bumbling idiot if he literally tortures people eternally and they still don't get right. That is the proof right there that this is not working. This is not an effective. Yeah. This is not effective system. And also, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's just retarded. Look, most people like it. You know, it's why they torture people, right? They torture you because eventually, when you torture somebody, they will give you what you want because you're torturing them. So this idea that God is going to torture people, and rather than dealing with the torture, rather than just being in agony over the not being in the presence of God eternally, whatever, they're still going to be stealing from each other. They're still going to be beating each other. They're still going to be lusting after each other. When do they have time to sin against each other with all of the torture going on? This is just insane.
You know, my dad is a hard ass. He'll die an absolute hard ass. And he was a math teacher for a stint there. And physically, me and my dad have the same look, the same body. So my dad just walking into a room scares 3/4 of the people that he's around. But even when he was a math teacher, he always said, I'm here to help you pass. And it's like, what do you need? Do you need me to help you? Do you want me to stay after class? During tests, he was like, if you need to be the student that turns their back, their desk, because you can't, then do that. And of course, he would inspect it and show you how old this was. If you need to listen to music, let me listen to the tape, of course. So I know you're not listening. You got the
answers,
answers there. But if you
Yeah.
listen to Hall and Oates or the Jacksons, then do it. Do you need to sit out in the hallway? Then do it. What do I need to do to help you pass this class? That was his mentality.
Right.
Now, if you've got a math teacher who has a 99% failure rate, it's not because that's a hard teacher. It's because they suck at their fucking job.
Absolutely.
It's like you're supposed to be helping these little bastards learn, not punish them. And so that's the Christian God. You mean to tell me that the majority of people that have ever walked the earth, that are walking the earth and will ever walk the earth, are going to be tortured forever? It's not because we're bad. It's because your God blows.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just the way the shit works out, man.
Absolutely. And please notice how the one thing he can't do is come alongside and encourage us. Actually show up, you know, do the teacher bit, stay after class, you know, put us in some unique circle, give us a guiding hand, give us some extra practice problems to do, you know,
Exactly.
just none of that. None of that.
Nope.
This is the crazy part of Christianity, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I really do think there's something fundamentally immoral and dishonest about most Christians. You just can't go along with this stuff and at some point not think about the bigger problem. But so many of them don't realize that the people they think of as ministers or men of God, that this is what they're actually about. In other words, what I'm getting to at, gang, is so many people, don't get me wrong, Mike Winger is a pastor to most people. Yeah. Right. And he goes on little speaking tours at churches and stuff like that. So when you see him, you're just thinking, oh, he's this God is love. Let's think about the intellectual side of Christianity. Da, da, da. And then you find his channel and you're like, bro, are you sitting here giving us a lecture, right? Because for most Christians, they're going to sweep this stuff under the rug. They want to not talk about it. This isn't the sunshine, flowers, and rainbows Jesus that makes us feel better. And they don't realize that the guy they're sitting there listening to on Sunday morning actually thinks this way.
Yeah. But that's, again, just what look at Mike Winger. Listen to his tone of voice. Listen to how not threatening he is.
Right.
You cannot defend that which is indefensible. You cannot make moral that which is not moral. I don't care what Bible verse you put behind it. And yeah, he's a pastor to some, and others, he's just an online evangelist. Both of them, all of this is all. Whether you are an apologist, you are a pastor, your message is bullshit. It is hate.
Absolutely.
I don't care what you say. At the end of fine, here I am. Look at me, gang. Look at me. Right? Hey, bitch, let me tell you something. What's up? 1, 2, 3, 4. You're already all kinds of fucked up. Do you know what I'm going to do to you? Do you have any idea? What do you think you're going to run to your bitch of a mother's house? You don't think I don't know where that is? You know? Because even if I can't get to you, what about your whore of a daughter? It's a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Where would you be without me? Huh? Do you know how much money I have? Do you remember what you were doing before you met me? Do you think you're worth all of this? I can take this away from you at any time. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't forget, bitch. Do not forget. This is you. The way I'm treating you is because this is what you deserve. Which part of that sounds like love, gang?
None of it.
Whether I sound like Winger or whether I sound like the example I just gave you. And there's nothing that I just said that is the least bit. You got it, Crystal. Might makes right. I am bigger than you. Therefore, this is not a debate.
Right.
So again, no matter how soft Mike wants to make it sound, he's peddling hate. He's peddling hate.
100%. 100%.
And therefore, there should be a ticking clock that ticks down. I should be like released. I'm paying for my crimes here. That doesn't seem to be the case, though. So if you're still conscious, then you can still sin because God cares about your heart. He cares about your thoughts. And Jesus talks about this in Matthew 5, where he says, if you are angry without just cause at your brother, well, it's like you've committed murder in your heart. Okay, so you could do that still. Lust.
Just again, Christian, stop saying stupid things. First off, yes, there should be a ticking time count. Literally, that's how the human justice system works. There is an actual time that you've been sentenced to.
Christian, stop saying stupid things. I don't know why I found that so goddamn hilarious.
They say the stupidest shit. Because when they say this, like, oh man.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, keep going.
By the way, cheers, Uncle Bobby.
Christian, stop saying
man.
shit. That's impossible.
So think about what they're saying. Have you ever been angry at your brother? And by that they mean anybody that's ever lived. Yeah, I've been angry at somebody. Well, then you've done the same as murder them.
Stop.
I'm pretty sure I haven't. You know, like that's like that notion that anger is just as bad as murder, that lust is just as bad as adultery. Look, I could look at another man's wife and be like, woo, she got it going on today. And when I see him, I'll be like, hey, how y'all doing? Have a good afternoon. How y'all doing? Y'all need anything? No? Oh, great. Because I'm a normal person, right? Like, right. I'm not trying to smash his wife. She's beautiful. I noticed that she's beautiful. Cool. How is that any way, shape, or form the same as adultery? Lusting after your neighbors. So you look over. I got a neighbor right up there. My man drives a mean old school black Cadillac, all black outside, inside, white wall tires. I mean, that thing sounds beautiful. Fantastic. It just sounds crazy coming down the street. Me noticing his car and being like, man, I'd love to take that for a spin, versus kicking down his door with a gun. Where are the keys? Where are the keys? Where are the keys? Like, Chris, just stop saying stupid stuff. This doesn't make any sense at all.
That is exactly how they get you. Again, don't take your next breath.
Right. What did we all just do?
Exactly. You're right. If you are the least bit of a sexual person, if you've made it past puberty, there's enough hormones in you where it's like, look at boy, you don't even know what I would do to you. And that is some way, somehow, according to Christian logic, just as bad as, again, okay, that person has a big shiny wedding ring. I see it. I've just committed adultery. I just fucked that person. Again, if you can't be safe in your own mind, where can you be safe?
Exactly.
And they get you where you are. And that's a human, because being a human is the worst thing you could possibly be.
Yes.
And that's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. I just don't buy that.
And that is the aspect of Christianity that most of them don't get, is, in a sense, I would say it makes you a bad person because it makes you anti-human. Yeah. It literally, and the sad part is they are convinced or pretend that they're convinced that this is the most loving thing you can do. This is the best way to love your neighbor and all of this type of stuff. But no, it's exactly the opposite. It makes you anti. Most of us understand that as part of our humanity. We understand we're going to lust after people that we shouldn't try to sleep with, and when we don't try to sleep with them, that makes us good people. You've made a correct moral decision. You're going to see, oh, my neighbor, they make more money than I do, maybe, or whatever. They've got, some nicer things that I don't have. I shouldn't steal their stuff. Just like I had to make a choice, right? I needed help about a week or so ago moving my screen. It's like too big for me to adjust by myself. And I went next door to my neighbor. Do you know what I actually thought before I went to ask him for help? I can definitely ask this person for help because they're not going to come see all my studio equipment and then come back the next day and steal it. Right? Like he's a musician. He came in, oh man, you got a lot of great gear in here. Oh, you play music, da, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, man, you know, anytime you need something, let me know. Can you help me with the screen? Oh yeah, cool. And then he went back on home and minded his damn business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do, but you're supposed to be able to look at other people's stuff. And then, but Christians want to take it to, if you desire something, it's the same as taking it.
Exactly.
And that's terrible.
It's bullshit. Again, they have to get you at who and what you are, and that is a human.
Yeah.
Again, that is. I remember, it was one of the first ladies that was trying to get me to come back to the flock, and my thing was, again, my sister is trans, and because I'm a fucking human, I'm all about the LGBTQ plus. You're supposed to be an ally. It's the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And of course, her thing is he hates them with a smile. And it's like, okay, you're going to tell me that just because John wants to jerk off David, that he deserves to be tortured? Her response was, well, you know, Robert, I saw a purse that I couldn't afford, and you know, I wanted it, so I'm just as bad as the guilty faggot. And you're like, okay, you don't believe that. You don't believe that. But in order to justify it, she had to attack herself at her core, because I'm quite sure that purse was fly. You're supposed to want. That's called capitalism. They fly shit. So you're like, oh, I'm going to go out and buy that thing too. That's not bad. That's not bad. Because if that's the case, shut down Christianity right now as a fucking business. You should never hear about an apologist that's worth millions of fucking dollars. Because if that's how you want to play this game, why is Turek? Why is Durbin? Why are all these idiots worth all this money? Again, Christians, clean up your own house before you criticize the dirt in someone else's.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, Robert, that's why I need a savior. Go fuck yourself. Come on. This is just excuse after excuse.
It's also a really good point in the sense that you have to put everybody on the list. Everybody has to go on the naughty list. And the truth is, most people, most of the time, you know, with exception, because we're human, but most people, most of the time, don't steal, aren't committing adultery, don't murder, and, you know, don't booty rape little boys and girls. And so if it was just simply a matter of don't do these, you know, outwardly objectionable things, most of us would be good most of the time. And then when you set up in the message, you'd be like, well, don't murder, like check, don't kill, check, don't steal, check. All right, I'm out of here. I'm good to go. Right? That doesn't work. So instead, it's got to be like, well, have you thought about something that you don't own? Have you looked at someone that you shouldn't be with? Have you ever been irritated with somebody? Like, it's just, now we're all on the list.
Right. Exactly. Again, I just don't buy it, mainly because I have self-esteem.
Yeah.
I just don't buy this crap.
Yeah. And you do make a good point when you say, you know, that would be an insult to my parents. And that's yeah.
And that's on top of the fact that you just haven't proven this crap, Christians. No. In order to say I'm that massively fucked up, that means these two people have failed in ways that cannot be measured. And no, absolutely not. That dude and that woman, they did the best they could. And you know what? Did they make some mistakes? Yeah, hell yeah. It's a part of being human. But they didn't fuck up so bad that this guy needs to be tortured forever. Right. Again, I'm not going to bash myself. More importantly, I'm not going to bash my mom and my dad. No, they did not fuck up so bad that I need to go to hell. This It's not an argument. It's not a discussion.
Pride is one of the worst sins in the scripture. And that is absolutely something that you can still do even when you don't have access to like social media, which does amplify the problem. All I'm saying here is we should not evaluate the fate of the person in hell as though they became holy the moment they entered hell. They didn't. In fact, they are no longer experiencing the work of the Spirit around them to try to draw them, there's a really good chance people get worse, not better. So that's something I just want to say. People don't just stop sinning, and you shouldn't evaluate the length of hell as though there's no more sin after death. Here's number 3. Why do we think hell is a static experience? I'm not saying hell is not a static experience. I'm asking why we think it is. You see, I want to move you to the place of doubt on this particular topic. At least that's where I am. If I'm wrong, may I come to the light and understand the truth on this issue and be able to share it with others. But it may be that the initial moment of judgment, here's a possibility, is worse than later moments. This is actually how this happens a lot in Scripture.
I just decided Ike Turner is infinitely preferable. Because look, at least when somebody says, I'm going to whoop your ass if there isn't 3 ice cubes in this cup, we know what the conditions are. There needs to be 3 ice cubes in the cup.
Right.
And if there aren't 3 cups in the ice cube, 3 ice cubes in the cup, we're going to get our ass whooped.
Right.
This is more like, if there isn't the correct amount of ice cubes in the cup, something really bad is going to happen. Well, fuck. How many cubes and how fucked up are we talking here, right? Because this is just, well, we don't really know. There's different levels. It could be worse. It could be the same. It could be different. It might change. It might not change. It might be level 1 suffering. It might be level 7 suffering. Like,
we've talked about this one before with the ice cube example. I'll take it a step further. There needs to be the correct amount of ice cubes in that cup, or you're going to get fucked all the way up. Okay, well, I'm going to reach into the ice box and pull out, an ice cube tray. Yeah, there's no ice cubes in there. There's no ice cubes in the freezer. Okay, well, I'm going to go to the store and go get a bag of ice. Bitch, if you leave this house, I'll kick your ass. I will beat your ass. Okay, well, then I think you can still favor groceries. So I'll favor groceries, and they'll bring me a whole bunch of stuff and a bag of ice so I can at least try to. Let me tell you something. If I look online and if I see any online activity to a grocery delivery service, I'm going to whip your ass. There's no way to get this scenario to where this person has even an opportunity to get the number of ice cubes right in this cup. You cannot spin this, Christians. You cannot spin this to be moral. You just, there's no way. This is a lose-lose. Either dump divorce humanity and say that the intergalactic version of Ike Turner is good to go, in which you've just sold out. Or say, you know what? The moral thing to do is to fight against this bullshit. But then your Christian God is true, and then he tortures us forever. What did I miss? Where's the win in this scenario? Where is it?
Also, I just don't understand from the Christian perspective how this makes it feel better. Do you really mean to tell me a Christian pulls up on this video, they're chewing their nails off, they're worried, they just had an uncomfortable conversation with the coworker, and the coworker brought up hell and told them hell was immoral, but now they know that there's different levels and it goes according to how bad it is, and it doesn't necessarily static. It's dynamic hell. It changes over time, and then you're gonna bring that to the water cooler on Monday morning, and your coach is like, well, that explains it. Oh, well, it's all better now. Oh, well, we'll carry on.
It's like Christian apologetics. It's there for those that want to feel better about their fucked up ass beliefs. I know people that have struggled with the concept of hell and then gone to a seminar and come out feeling instantly better. Well, it's because they lied. They said bullshit like, well, there's different levels. It's static. It's not, it's dynamic, whatever the
right.
You are looking for a reason to feel better about your fucked up ass belief. That's no different than saying, okay, I slapped her, but I didn't hit her with the closed fist. People who want to hear an excuse, like, it was an open hand? Thank God, because this means you hate the bitch. This means she can still learn.
Right.
You're looking for a reason to feel bad about your fucked up ass beliefs. If you hear Mike Winger spin the concept of eternal torment and you feel better about it, you're looking for a reason to feel better about your fucked up ass beliefs. It's just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is, we don't get it.
So
No.
when the people of Israel are attacked by the Babylonians and then deported out, Judah are deported out of the land. They're brought out of the land, and then they're deposited there in Babylon. The initial judgment of getting drug out of the land and the deaths and the pain and the suffering is worse than their condition a year later while they're at Babylon. Is that still punishment? Yeah, it's still punishment, but it's not statically the same at all times. So they're still out of the land and they're still suffering to an extent, but it's not the same extent as they were on the day that Lamentations writes about. You know, when Jeremiah writes Lamentations and he's like just grieving and sorrowing. That was the worst part. That was a much worse season.
So how maybe he's going to draw this connection, but how on earth does he use this story about history, this made up story about history, to say anything about hell? Because this is supposed to be what's happening down on earth. And so God brought them from a really shitty place to a less shitty place. That means hell changes. I mean, this is just desperate, gang. He's just reaching for parts that have
absolutely
nothing to do with hell at all to make these claims.
The people that are eating this up are looking for reasons to continue to believe that some way, somehow, the world's most immoral concept is some way, somehow a little less shitty. He's making excuses for people who need the excuses.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your service, Mike.
Yeah. Jesus. And he's got to be counting to some extent on these people just not having familiarity. Look, I'm an atheist. I got to be honest with you guys. I hate the Bible. I think it is a terrible book. I think it is awful to read. And one of the best parts about being an atheist is that no one can make me read the Bible anymore. And still not having actively read that book in probably over a decade now, we remember enough about what we read and studied to know he's sitting on some bullshit. Because it was ingrained into us that deeply all those many years ago. So he is literally relying on Christians just being totally ignorant of what the Bible actually says, what it's about. And it says quite a bit that a video like this is so popular. It says that actually a large proportion of Christians aren't familiar with the Bible, aren't reading it, and therefore are susceptible to this nonsense. Again, gang, I will tell you, like I always say, when I find out that you're an atheist who used to be a Christian, I immediately assume you were a more serious Christian. I assume you read that Bible, you were active in the church, you put a lot of yourself on the line for this faith, which is why you needed real answers, and that is why you are an atheist. When you are the same age we are, you made it past 25 or 30, and you're still a Christian, you have not taken it seriously. You just haven't.
Nope.
You just haven't.
So I think the same can possibly be true of hell, that forever doesn't mean every moment is identical. If the punishment is measured, and even if sin is ongoing and maybe punishment continues to be ongoing, it doesn't mean that the punishment is the same in every moment for eternity. I don't know how it's different. All I'm saying is minimally this. We should not act like we know hell is a static experience, unchanging. We shouldn't act that way. There may be aspects of it that are unchanging. There may be aspects of it that change. We just don't know, so we shouldn't make a judgment about it based upon an assumption there. All right, that's number 3. The fourth issue is this. Sin is way, way worse than we think. This is actually a theme in Scripture, that sin is far worse than you think or I think. Right? When Adam and Eve ate, their response and the things that they do demonstrate that they're aware there's something wrong, but they don't seem to realize how bad it is.
Did he just say when Adam and Eve ate? Did a grown-ass man just sit up here and say when these proto people ate, when Rib Woman ate the apple,
Yeah, he did. So this, fuck me, yeah, sideways. So I remember talking to a Christian Kojo when I was on Gonna Go For It. And so I asked the fuckface. Oh, by the way, when you hit, dude, let me tell you something about the edibles that I just got. I think I'm still feeling the shit.
Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, you got some good edibles.
Yeah, it was just that slow takeoff. And it just, the shitty ones are like this, right? This one just did like this. It was like, yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's up, baby? Come on and talk dirty to me. Yep, there we go. And you just get that really good peak.
And you got the all night long.
I sat in front of my TV last night. I was like, that's how you do it, son. So where the fuck were we? Oh, Kojo and his monkey ass. So I remember asking him about the Adam and Eve thing. And I was like, okay, so you got two, however old these people were, they do not have the knowledge of good and evil. They don't have the knowledge of good and evil, but yet God made them, put them in a right or wrong proposition without the ability to weigh the consequences. So how can you sit there and say that they failed their test? Again,
absolutely.
You are a teacher and you tell your students, we are going to have a test on Monday over X, Y, and Z. But you don't teach them shit about X, Y, and Z. So when everyone gets an F, who's bad, Bundy? You as the teacher or the students? And I asked them, okay, you put a loaded pistol in the crib with a 6-month-old. It is cocked and ready to go.
Right.
Now, you tell the toddler, the 6-month-old, don't touch that pistol. Don't do it. If you do that, something bad could possibly happen. Well, the 6-month-old pulls the trigger and something bad happens. Let me ask you something. Who's bad? Who's the fuck up? The parent that put the pistol in the crib or the kid for pulling the trigger? He refused to answer the question.
Because he knew.
He knew. Christians, that is you. That is you. Every time you sit here and you lean on this Adam and Eve bullshit ass story, there's nothing unbiblical about what I just said. They didn't have the knowledge of good and evil. God gave them a right or wrong choice without giving them the software update to be able to weigh out their decision. So How is that a wrong choice? How is that a wrong choice? It's not. Again, this is a script. So when you guys got no idea how fucked up sin is. Let me tell you how fucked we are. This is all kinds of fucked up. The heat is on. It's like, well, who turned on the gas? Well, we turned on the gas. No, we did not. The Christian God turned the gas on and put that shit on full boil. How is this our fault? Well, it's because we're sinners. I can't have this conversation with someone who's not going to be logical. Just go ahead and set that pizza sleep fast under the West there for the mudge.
You're right.
This is bullshit, man.
And again, utterly immoral, the concept of original sin. I don't believe Adam and Eve existed.
Exactly.
But even if they did, I certainly, oh my goodness, I'm not even going to believe it. Can't believe I just thought about this. But
spit it out.
Think about how tightly clinched the booty holes of white people get when we talk about slavery.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because they don't want the guilt associated with the fact that maybe their ancestors owned slaves. I'm not even making this up, gang. I had a colleague talk to me recently about the guilt and the shame, the disappointment they were feeling because they found out that they were related to a positively historic Black person. But in the process of realizing that, they realized that they only now know that this historic Black person is a distant cousin of theirs because they now realize their family owned slaves because that was part of the story. And I'm sitting there like, you're good to go. We've all got fucked up shit that happened in our family history. This has nothing to do with you. Just do the best you can to be a good person now, and that's all that we can ask.
And keep it moving.
So if it's painfully obvious to people that you should not be held responsible for the sins of your ancestors, how is the concept of original sin literally telling you you're responsible for the sins of the first people to ever exist?
Yeah.
How is that moral? How is that that okay?
See, your problem, Bundy, is you are bringing logic to a stupid fight.
Pretty much.
I've used this analogy before. True story, and my dad still laughs to this day. My dad snuck out when he was a boy to go get drunk off of cheap beer with his friends. Well, where my dad was born and raised, a missing black person was a dead black person. That means the Klan got a hold to you. Right. Well, his mom, my grandmother, she freaked the fuck out. Oh my God, they got, because my dad's the youngest, they got my baby boy. Right. And then dad showed back up drunk. First thing Big Mama did was, thank God. You know, the second thing she did, she beat his ass. Yeah. So he laughs when, you know, kids are like, oh, you can't punish kids. It's funny. Like, shut the fuck up. He's like, if you saw what my mom did to me when I snuck out, and he laughs at it. My point is, and I'm just now finding this stuff out, when I was born, both Mama and Big Mama came to take care of me. I guess mom was, I don't know what the story was, but both my grandmothers were there to take care of me when I was a baby. Well, if Big Mama turned around and beat the dog shit out of me, I mean, just absolutely, I mean, within an inch of my life, and you're like, Ethel, why did you beat that boy? Well, you know, when his dad was 14 years old, he snuck out and got drunk off some real fucked up ass beer. Now, I know this little fucker's got nothing to do with it, but since his dad fucked up, I'm going to hurt him for what his dad did. How was that the least bit moral, Christians? Oh, let me guess. It's not. Again, the best thing about y'all's faith is that it requires no commitment. If Big Mama would have done that to me, that would have been bad.
Yeah.
But when the Christian God does it, because 6,000 years ago, because that's exactly how old the earth is. Right. 6,000 years ago, Dirtman and Ribwoman ate an apple, and now me and Bundy are fucked. Come on. How is that the same?
And again, it has to put everybody on the list. This way, no matter what you've done or not done, and most of us have, I think, a pretty fair outlook on our lives. At least for me, one of the, you know, unfortunate things is I've lived to do things I genuinely regret doing, that as I've grown, I've been like, holy shit, I don't know how people survived me. But most of us, when we look on balance, we've done the best we could with the growth and opportunities we had when we had. I always say, if you'd have known better, you'd have done better.
Absolutely. Great one.
And so we tend to be pretty forgiving of ourselves and likewise graceful to others. Yeah, that thing you did last week really pissed me off, but guess who's never done something to piss somebody off? So it's all good. Let's just move forward. Christianity can't have that. You have to be fucked up just for breathing, just for being here. It has nothing to do with your life history. And the sad part is, I really do think this negatively affects most Christians, because to a great extent, I don't see them doing it. Like I just remember the last couple times I really was, you know, heavily involved in a church, feeling like there was so much guilt that these people had, and it dominated so much of their thought space, but really they ain't never done nothing. You know, when you get around most people, I went to a pretty white, you know, evangelical, like middle class church, not a lot of people, fortunately, you know, falling upon hard times and stuff like that. these people ain't never done nothing to nobody.
No.
Most of these people have never stolen anything. They've never been in a violent confrontation. They've certainly never killed anybody. They've never defrauded a business. I mean, honestly, most of these people probably don't tell white lies, right? They're probably the type of people who will deliver you an uncomfortable truth as nice as they can, rather than just tell you what would be comfortable in the moment. I mean, I hate to say it, they're just good people. They're just good people who have no reason to be feeling guilty.
Most of us are. Yep.
Yeah, and but you'll find them crying, falling to the floor.
Yeah.
Out of guilt and shame, and holding each other accountable. I need to have an accountability partner to make sure I don't watch any porn. I need to have an accountability partner, make sure I don't do too much online shopping. Like just and I hate to say this too, Christians, Christians really do need to listen to this. Please share this. It makes you fucking selfish. It makes you so selfish. Do you know what real problems there are in the world that could actually use your help? How much money people need? Just go to someone less fortunate than you are, or an organization that helps them, and donate some money. You will take stress and you will find something productive to do with it, and the world will actually be a better place. Instead of sitting around worried about your lusting after whatever, go take that couple that you saw get in a fight and be like, sit them down and be like, now look, you two got a good thing going here. What can we do? Right? Give somebody some free therapies, like do something good in the world, but they don't.
They can't,
because they're so obsessed with their own sin. They're too busy feeling guilty about jerking off and wanting to buy shit and thinking somebody else is cute, or wanting to get ahead in the workplace. And they're just so guilty that they're useless to the rest of us.
They are
useless to the rest of us.
And
so stressed about something that is not a problem.
Not real. Exactly. This is why I've always said we are as fast as our slowest relay member. I remember sitting in front of two Christians, and they were half my age. And when I had this talk, I was in my 40s. So these were 20-something-year-old boys. And they were trying to do exactly this. We all need a savior. We're all bad. We're all horrible. We're all broken. And I was like, look, you fuckfaces literally just have the ability to buy beer without a fake ID.
Right.
do you really think you're that bad? It's like, we're all kinds of fucked up. You don't seem to understand how bad. It's like, then what have you done? And I was waiting to hear about rape, murder. They know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried, but they're not spelling names. And it was like, I'm real fucked up. What have you done? What have you done? You don't understand. I'm real fucked up. I'm a sinner. What have you done? And I finally knuckled them down, because they kept saying, I'm bad. It's like, what? Tell me what? And I remember one of them said, I lusted after a woman. And I'm like, hold on. Did you rape her? Did you touch her? What do you mean you lusted after? I looked at a woman and I wanted to have sex with her. It was so bad. And I disrespected her. And I was like, okay, you know what? You're reaching. You're absolutely reaching. And again, you're right. There's so many real problems out there in the world. But instead, we got people sitting here just mad than a motherfucker that they jerked off. Or they told a lie when they were 7, or just whatever the fuck. Yeah. And you're like, but even if those people were to actually pitch in and do some good, it's not. Right? You gave a ham sandwich to a homeless person. But the asterisk that we have to hang is, here's a sandwich, homeless person. Did you know that you're a guilty sinner and you deserve to go to hell? Yeah, before you eat this sandwich, I know you haven't eaten in 6 months. Let me tell you something. You're all kinds of fucked up. I go to church down the street. Why don't you come to church with me and you can learn about Jesus Christ? Because you're going to go to hell. Did you know you're going to go to hell? Okay, here's your ham sandwich.
Right.
their help even comes at a negative cost.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I mean, this is just sitting on some bullshit.
Yeah, this is what I think about a lot of the charitable efforts that churches do is they're mostly tied to proselytizing.
Oh, totally.
And that they always do less charitable stuff than the good work that would be done if they just like paid their taxes. So it's sort of a net negative to most of us.
When Cain kills Abel, he doesn't seem to acknowledge how bad it is. You can feel this when you do a sin for the first time and you feel horrible about it. You do it for the 500th time, it barely registers. How much that I do, whether it's gossip or selfishness or just a harsh word, to cruelty to people, responding wrongly to somebody, that it's just, I'm calloused and I don't see how, I know it's wrong, it's kind of okay, it's kind of bad, but I don't realize how bad it is. Let me give you a scripture that kind of helps show some of this.
Pause the tape.
Jeremiah
Pause the tape.
6:15.
I don't give a fuck about his scripture. I don't care.
No.
I don't care. You're right. You know what? Can gossip lead to negativity? Absolutely right. But listen to his voice. I mean, the first time you do it, I mean, it's all kinds of fucked up. And you just, then you get used to doing bad things. I mean, gossip's the worst shit in the history of humanity. I mean, this is all kinds of fucked up. What's that? What's that? You want me to talk about the Catholic Church? Yeah, fuck those motherfuckers. They're good to go. They believe in God. Did you gossip? You gossip, didn't you? Did you lust after some? We've got real problems. And he's talking about this imaginary disease like it's real. I wish, and I remember when I do videos on like Vodi Bakum, I do every time I go down their catalog, they have yet to say anything about the SBCs, about the Pentecostals, about the Children of God, about the Family International, about the Catholic priesthood, about the wrongs in their own church.
Right.
Instead, it's just make-believe disease. Are you aware that Christians are being persecuted? I mean, they laugh at us. I mean, we say that as snake talk, and they tell us to shut the fuck up. What's worse than that? I don't see. This is what I'm talking about. This is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Listen to the tone of his voice as he talks about gossip like it was a 9/11,
Right. Right. The gossip.
There's no such
and he gave
thing
a wrong
as
answer.
I was just like, dude, that's what you're worried about? Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Booty Bakum.
It's about this issue, and it says, were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? The people of Israel? No, they're not ashamed at all, not even remotely, nor did they know how to blush. God is not just saying, hey, they sinned. He's highlighting a problem, which is that they don't even recognize how bad the sin is. And so it says, therefore, they shall fall among those who fall. And at the time I punish them, they shall be cast down, says the Lord. What's one of the reasons they're being punished? Catch this. This is like meta information about the Bible, at least if I understand the word meta right. One of the functions of punishment is to strip away the calluses and show us how bad sin is. Think about this for a moment with me. Many of you probably never thought about this way. One of the functions and purposes of punishment is to strip away the calluses and show us how bad sin is. That is, I think, how punishment functions. It's how it functions here in Jeremiah. He's like, you can't blush. So he's going to effectively teach them how bad their sin is.
Pause the tape. Okay. This is what Mike Winger, please go fuck yourself. Punishment is to strip away the callous. No. Punishment is to teach a lesson. If you lie to me and you're my kid, you're going to lose some privileges. I'm not going to be very nice to you. Right. I'm going to teach you a lesson that lying is the wrong thing to do. Now, you learned your lesson. Here's your iPhone back. You've gained my trust back. All right, kid, let's move on. This isn't punishment that he's describing. A punishment that does not end is hatred by definition. I'm just going to hurt you. And you know what? And I'm not going to stop hurting you. Where's the love in this proposition? He can't even define punishment correctly. This is what happens when you are knee deep supporting the bullshit. This topic just makes me mad. I'm not
Yeah.
even drunk yet.
Yeah,
This is terrible.
I'm literally
This is
sitting
awful.
here. Growing up, I was the only black kid in all white school, so there was a lot of threats and shit like this. But I'm literally thinking, like, what would have happened if some kid just said that to me?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know that I wouldn't have attacked them.
Right.
Like, just like someone literally promising to hurt you. Like, you're just gonna be like, oh well, let's get this song and dance over with right now then.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna just sit around letting you walk around here all high and dandy while I'm under the threat of violence at every waking moment. Like, but this is just terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah, and again, it just sounds so silly to sit here and like really have this story about how an entire race of people didn't feel shame and they didn't blush when they fell into sin, so God has to fuck them all the way up. I mean, this is just hell is a really core aspect of why Christianity is false. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
I always say, like, just the anti-LGBTQ aspect alone, like, once you realize how problematic the Bible is on that should be enough. Like, that should be enough.
You would think.
I don't want to be part of a bigoted group. I'm not going to be part of this. I don't think that wasn't the case for me, and probably not most of the people listening, but I regret that. Like, that's one of my regrets, is that I overlooked that as a Christian. Hell is another one of those. It's just one of those things where you look back at it and you're like, whoa, once I was an adult and learned how to think for myself, I should have been reflecting on this hell concept, and I should have just been like, hell no. I should have just been out. One thing that's interesting is Lena brought up earlier that they started they stopped believing in hell sometime after they stopped believing in Jesus. And I think I was the opposite. I think I was one of those Christians who stopped believing in hell but was still a believer. Where were you at, Uncle Bobby?
I definitely held on to the hell concept pretty much up until my 39th birthday. And I know Christians who will look me in my face and tell me that I'm not going to go to hell. And I'm like, yeah, according to your Bible, I'm committing the one and only unforgivable sin. And they stand next to, you're not going to go to hell. Right. So I've heard of that before, where a Christian will hold on to the belief, but dump the hell concept.
Yeah, I was one of them.
And so, and I totally get it. Because no matter what level of Christian you are a pick and choose Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
It is legally impossible, even morally impossible. Even someone as hate-filled as Steven Anderson, his acronym for LGBTQ is let God burn them quickly.
Wow.
If you gave him a match and said, burn that gay person, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it. Yeah.
He wouldn't do it. So it's all talk. So every Christian at some level is a pick and choose Christian. And I totally understand why a Christian would say, I still believe in Jesus, sin, blah, blah, blah. What about the hell concept? That's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
To hold on to this immoral belief. And I totally get it. I've got nothing negative to say about it.
So would you say they were kind of what? Do you think so? You kind of left them both at the same time, like they were part of the same package.
Totally.
Okay.
Again, I was one of those Christians who sat there, and I was nowhere near as feverish as Steven Anderson, but it's like the different levels of hell. It's still bad. I was definitely one of the God hates fags type of Christians. Why? That's what I was taught to believe.
Right.
And my brain is completely farted. What the fuck were we talking about?
The timing of...
Yeah. And you're desperate to hold on to whatever it is you can hold on to. So for me, it was, I still believe in hell. I still believe in Jesus, sin, but you know what? God actually likes gay people. There's no biblical justification for that. And so just little by little, and then at 39, it all just went off to the wayside because there was nothing that I could defend.
Was there
And
a
I
particular
totally get it.
moment for you, or?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Not my Jesus. Remind me to come back to that one.
Hashtag not my Jesus.
Yeah. I got to come back to that one. But for me, in that kitchen right there, and my best, this motherfucker, he gets me every time. He was sitting there and he hit me with the Hitchens challenge because he knew I was kind of on the bubble because he and I had a million conversations about it. And it was name one thing that you can do that's good in the name of Christianity that you can't do simply because it's a Tuesday. It's like, why are you holding on to this stuff? And I'll never forget, I snapped at my best friend who I love. And it just makes me feel good. And I woke up the next morning because I gave it to, well, yeah, what can I? He's right. I woke up the next morning. I didn't call myself an atheist, but I knew I didn't believe in God anymore.
Wow.
And I remember I did the exact same thing to someone who was trying to get me to come back to the flock. And I hit her ass with the Hitchens challenge. Name something. And she kept just hemming and hawing, and blah, 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 blah. And when she couldn't, I was like, then why are you holding on to it? And I'll never forget. She said the exact same thing that I said in the exact same tone of voice. Well, it just makes me feel good. And I was like, you're on the clock, baby. You're on the clock. Because I remember I said the exact same thing. And with the not my Jesus, a friend of mine who's an actual Hindu, and her son, they're not poor, I'll say that. And her son was like, well, why do we have so much and God allows others not to have as much as we have? And I'll never forget that. And I remember I posed that question to some of the Christians in my life, not telling them that a Hindu child was the one who posed this question. And it's like, yeah, why is that some people can eat steaks and the other people just don't eat? And I remember a lady, she looked me dead in my face. And I remember the smile. It was like, not my God. And I was like, right as she said that, you know what happened that night? A family went without food. So yeah, your God sat and watched that happen. So, I mean, this is all, the only way to support this shit is to lie. It's to tap dance.
And the crazy thing is, even so much of the misery and suffering we see in this country, it could be relieved by two things: churches paying their taxes, and rich Christians no longer hoarding wealth. Right? So if churches just paid their taxes just to give their fair share to the common good, and rich Christians actually supported, social policies and redistributing wealth fairly, we'd be good to go. We would be good to go. So yeah, their Jesus,
their God.
Great and serious punishment. And it's actually, this is the deportation and all this other stuff that I read about or talked about earlier about Lamentations. Punishment wakes us up. So I think if you look at hell and you go, man, this seems too extreme. Oh, this seems so extreme. And hopefully you don't have a wrong view of it. Hopefully you realize not everyone gets the same punishment.
All right, gang, real quick. Tonight at 9:30 Eastern, I will be on Bad Science Sunday with Maya Adkison. I was going to plug it at the end, but it's good to plug it now too. So check that out. And there's a link down in the description. There's a link down in the description to Maya's channel.
They don't stop sinning, and there's no reason to think that it's just a static experience forever. But we should absolutely think that sin is worse than we realize. That's the function of the law, in fact. Huge theme in Scripture. The law is there to show you how bad sin is. And how does the law show you how bad sin is? Read the New Testament, right? Because it talks about this.
Go for it.
This America loses out on $71 billion with a B. $71 billion worth of tax revenue. If every church in this country, I knew it was in the billions, I didn't know how much.
Wow.
According to this one, $71 billion is what we lose out on because churches don't pay their fair share. Imagine what we could do with even half of that.
Right.
If churches, again, you could either pray up or you could pay up. Christians want to pray up because that solves all the problems, doesn't it, gang? $71 billion is what we lose out on.
That's an insane amount of money.
Ain't it?
Insane.
It's in great detail. By telling you that whoever sins will die, and then listing all the sins that can lead to death. By showing you the punishment is extreme. Therefore, you must realize the sin is really bad. This is my view towards hell. I hope it can be your view, even if it's not yet. I hope you move in this direction. God is holy, just, and good. If he punishes people this strongly, then people must be sinning really bad. That's the logical perspective, I think. It's illogical.
You know what? No.
Ahead,
we are not ending on that bullshit. If the punishment is that bad, it's clearly we're that fucked up. No, I go back to the math teacher. If you've got a 99% failure rate, it's not because your students are stupid. It's because you are a bad teacher. Again, there is no judgment. If Christianity is what it claims to be, we are all following a script.
Yep.
God made me become an atheist. God made me die without belief in a God. And now he's going to punish me for not believing. That's not the case at all. If I give my child nothing but fast food, ice cream, Dad, can I dip my popsicles in mayonnaise and eat that for dessert? Why, of course, kid. And when my kids got diabetes, they're super morbidly obese, they're on fucking 600-pound life, it's not because of my kid. It's because I am the problem.
Right.
You're like, Dad, can I have ice cream for dinner? What? No, I don't think you understood what I just said. You're going to eat exactly what's on your plate. Now, here's some lean meat. Here's some vegetables. Here's the starch. Here's some water. Eat that and carry your monkey ass to bed. As the adult, I know better than to sit there and feed my kid a bunch of bullshit. It's not my kid's fault at a certain point in this venture. There's no way. There's no way we're going to end this show and let that fuckface sit there and say that bullshit. Because again, that's just victim blaming. This is your fault.
Absolutely.
Do you know how bad you are? God's got to hurt you. Don't you know that? No. Not on this show. We're not.
And it becomes just a shorthand. It's really just sin is just so bad. It's just infinitely bad that it must be that the punishment for it is just. This is just terrible. And it's very lazy.
Yeah.
Very lazy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Well, God must be wrong. Well, let's go to number 5. Part of hell can be viewed as consequence, not merely punishment. It's connected to punishment. I'm not separating it from that, but I think that we should label it as consequence as well. So consider a divorce. A man cheats on his wife serially, or perhaps he's abusive, or both, and she rightly divorces him, or vice versa. A woman cheats on her husband serially, is unrepentant, she's abusive in extreme ways, and then he divorces her. Now imagine this. She's like, hey, it's been 20 years since you divorced me. I know I did all those bad things, but haven't I suffered enough? Shouldn't you take me back? There's an appropriateness to say, in this case, it's not just about how much you suffered. It's about the permanence.
Pause the tape. I don't care. I can't listen to this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I cannot listen to this.
I'm trying to figure out the word game.
There's no, this is bullshit. If I make a robot and the robot, I specifically program my robot, every time you walk into a room, you turn left and you say, Robert is cool. That robot cannot do anything other than walk into a room, turn left and say, I got to take Buddy out, and say, Robert is cool. Now, when my robot walks into a room and takes a left and says, Robert is cool, then I beat the shit out of the robot. It's not because my robot is bad, it's because I programmed my robot to do exactly that, and now I'm going to punish that robot.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to, all these analogies are bad.
All of them.
Well, if you cheat on your spouse in 20 years, shut the fuck up, Mike. We are programmed. Nothing happens that doesn't go according to God's unchanging plan. You cannot change God's plan no matter how much you try. So everything that you do because that's written in your script.
100%.
So we can't be punished for something that God knew we were going to do because he made us do it. This is abusive spouse. I can't, that's what I'm saying. I don't care what he says. All the analogies are crap.
All of them.
Yeah, it's like, hey, baby, do you want a hall pass? Well, yeah, I mean, because that guy's kind of hot. Okay, I'm going to tell you what. You fucked the shit out of that dude. I hope he makes you come 5,000. No. It's okay. No, trust me. It's okay. I'm all about the open relationship. It's only sex. Go ahead. Now, when she goes and fucks that dude and comes back and says, that shit was great, then I take my belt off and beat her, I'm just as fucking abusive.
Right.
Christians, all the excuses are bullshit. All the excuses are bullshit. All your analogies don't hold water.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't listen to that.
If he wants to talk about actual consequences, whatever's supposed to be our sinful nature is, under his view, a direct consequence of the way God made us. So how is it okay to then turn around and say, oh, but your flaws are so severe? No. Yeah, this is crazy. But here's the thing that I think is sort of why Christian apologetics is the death knell of Christianity. Any other Christian just has to do better. Right? Like that's the kind of thing. It's like I think for a lot of people, before you got into this stuff or whatever, like defending your faith kind of just wasn't a thing. You go to church or you don't.
Yeah.
You're into the worship, you're into the whatever, you've got a relationship with Jesus. You've probably never debated your faith or written a book on it or wrote a thesis about it or whatever. And so all of these issues kind of just lay beneath the surface and you basically just ignore them. But to me, once you come across the apologetics and, they're going to say things like, no, we looked in the Bible and, it's 6,000 to 10,000 years old and evolution's sitting on some bullshit. It says here, for a man to lie with man is an abomination. Sure, they should both be put to death. There's 17 stages of hell. Whatever the thing is that Christians want to avoid. Okay, fine. The apologist is full of shit. Now go ahead and clear it on up for us. Tell us how it really goes. And I think that's a lot of what's happening here is, as bad as Mike Winger and Kent Hovind and Cy Ten Bruggencate are, the average Christian sitting in a pew on Sunday morning can't do any better. No. And that's often why I think sometimes that they're contributing to the downfall of their faith more than the spread of it. But I guess that remains to be seen.
Well, I remember saying this to Godless Iowan long time ago. And it was, if we're going to have a discussion about planetary orbit and the foundational pillar of your talking point is the center of Jupiter is filled with cream cheese, we can't go further than that.
Right.
Because what you're sitting on is already false. So anyone who wants to defend the cream cheese theory, the only way to defend it is to lie.
Yes.
The only way that Hovind and all these idiots can have a debate against someone like you is to sit here and tell you that you're wrong. Well, I'm the one who actually gutted it out and I sweated my balls off to earn a PhD. I'm a doctor when it comes to biology. You don't seem to understand who you're talking to. Well, you're wrong because a white dude talked all this into existence. You don't know what you're talking about. The only way to defend this is to lie and to fucking spin. And the only way to make hell sound the least bit, because again, if a Christian hears this and they heard our analogy to abusive spouse, it's not an analogy,
Right?
okay?
It's the same
That's
situation.
an actual diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's a diagnosis. Take it from someone who does this for a living. This is why this shit pisses me off.
Mm.
I shared with someone on Friday one of the worst stories of abuse from husband to wife. Every 2 or 3 weeks, because he never touched her. He was too busy fucking around.
Mm.
He would wait for her to be in the shower. And while she was in the shower, let's just say he would forcefully put it in the hole, not the vagina.
Sure.
And I remember she would tell me, you know what? I know it's coming. I know this is going to, but just 3 to 5 minutes. It just, and I can take it.
Wow.
I can take it. Just
Terrible.
then he won't do it again for another 20 days. It's one of the few moments to where you're just like, I'm going to break character. I'm going to put you in the back of my car. I'm just going to drive you away somewhere.
Right.
She sat there and she literally told me, I can take it. Just over with, and this won't happen for another month or so. Gang, there is literally no difference between what it is I hear at work and what I just heard Mike Winger say. Making an excuse on why you deserve to go to hell. Well, it's not that bad. At least he used a condom. It's not that bad. It was an open hand, not a closed fist. This is abuse, no matter how you want to spin this. That's why I can't sit here and listen to that crap.
Yeah. And
that is pure abuse. Period.
There's no honest way to defend something that isn't true. And that's this whole endeavor. And the audacity for them to even think that they're correct on these matters, because you brought up, the education. I was just thinking about this. It's like, well, of course you're wrong about that thing you didn't study and didn't go to school for because you didn't want to learn about.
Right.
You literally decided, I don't want to learn about this. I don't want to know what's going on. I'm not going to study this. I'm not going to go to school for this. I'm not going to read about this. I'm not even going to give myself a 10th grade education in this.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it turns out that's not a path to expertise. I don't know if you I mean,
you don't know the assignment.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It's crazy because most of us, in even who do something like I did, it's literally just the curiosity. It's literally just, I find this interesting. I want to learn about this. I grew up in the church and all of that, and I honestly I was just trying to understand how the world works because I thought that was a better way to understand God or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just keep going down the road one step at a time, one class at a time, one paper at a time. And these guys didn't do that, but they want to fast forward to the end of the race and still put up a gold medal. And it's just like, it's not going to happen. And yeah, and it's also just evil and immoral and abusive, and it's quite troubling that that's the thing that bothers me about not so much Christianity but the response to it. It troubles me that the rest of us are still giving them that esteem. We're still treating them like they're the nicest people in the room, the most honest people in the room, the most loving people in the room. And going back to that kid analogy, it's like treating the kid who, you've let, eat ice cream and whatever else for dinner, but now you're going to tell him he's got the best diet. He's just the most disciplined, the most disciplined eating habits. You ever heard of eating clean? Yeah, this is what it means. Yeah, the eating clean. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's that feedback.
Exactly. It's the lie. You fucking nailed it. You're right. Me telling my kid 2 quarter pounders and a Big Mac, that's clean eating. Just like pastors tell you every day, and they lie to you and tell you you are inherently broken. And I hope I didn't lose it. Oh, Logan Fisher no one would love you but me. You are deserving, but death, I am saving you.
Yep.
That is abuse. Again, I'm saving you for what I'm going to do to you if you don't treat me good. I say it, I go to jail. God says it, you give him 10% of your money.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't roll with that. I can't roll with this.
It's terrible. And the further I get, it's like I can't believe I used to be a Christian.
I can't believe it.
All right, gang. We got hot program coming up at 3:30, and then don't forget tonight at 9:30, I'll be on Maya Atkinson's channel for Bad Science Sunday. There are links to both in the description. Uncle Bobby, you want to give us your closing thoughts and sign us off?
Yeah. To wrap this all up, it's abuse. Gang, call things the way you see them. If you have someone cowering in the corner of a room, afraid to make a move, because if they do, the person that loves them is going to hurt them, call that what it is: abuse. I'm afraid to even think with my brain because God can see what I am thinking. And if I think wrong, he's going to hurt. Oh, I just thought bad. I'm all kinds of fucked up. That's called abuse. I see it every day. I see it every day. People afraid to think, to act. People afraid to come to me because I'm going to teach them how not to get hurt. That's literally like an obese person afraid to go to a personal trainer. They're going to get me in shape. I just don't. This is abuse. And it's not funny.
100%.
And people like Mike Winger are sitting on some bullshit because they're let me tell you how this is okay. It's not okay. Christianity makes you afraid to take your next step, to say your next word, to breathe your next breath. That is exactly what I teach people to fight against. If you guys could see the next rosters on my 3 next self-defense seminars, they're all sold out. They're all packed because women are afraid. How is that any different than worshiping the Christian God? Give me a break.
Absolutely. All right, sign us off, Uncle Bobby.
All right, gang. The medium guy and the big guy have held you long enough. We're signing the fuck off. The blackout. Let's